Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone joining us. We are going to give folks just a few seconds here to settle before we get going. And we want to be on time today. So we'll get going now. So thank you everyone for being here today. My name is Ariel Dakovic. I am head of global communications at ICLEI, Local Governments for Sustainability, and I am very excited to be with you today on this first Daring Cities 2025 virtual forum session. And today we have a very exciting topic, a very, I think, kind of complex topic that I think is going to elicit a lot of conversation and really showcase, I think, what we're trying to do, trying to achieve through the Daring Cities, which is to really get at how to act better. That's one of our primary elements of Daring Cities. So this we are going to try to get at the deep dive knowledge here to help us with that. So let's get started. Uh, a little bit on what we're doing today before we get into the beginning section of our talk. So we're going to be going over today really the town hall COPs concept. So hopefully you are familiar with town hall COPs as a concept, but we're going to do some basic scene setting on that. And we've already had town hall COPs happen, and so we're going to be talking about the results coming out of that. That's going to be a really quick beginning. Then we're going to get into our wonderful roundtable today. I will do a full introduction of them, but just to go over what the overall agenda for today is, we're going to talk more generally about what we mean by nationally relevant with town hall COPs. Then we're going to get into some case studies from South Africa and from Australia. Finally, we're going to end with kind of a direction setting towards COP30 and how we connect this entire initiative to COP30. And finally, we're really excited to announce a new tool for national engagement at the end of this session. So stay tuned. If you can make it through the full hour with us, you'll get more information on that. We will end with some questions because we have such a great lineup of speakers today. I would really suggest that you get your questions, as they come up, put them into the chat, put them into the question and answer function in Zoom so that we have those ready because we're really just going to have a few minutes at the end to get to questions. And then the other thing is we are also going to have some interactive elements here. So you can get ready for that. We'll ask you to either follow a link, use your phone with a QR code to follow those, and do a little bit of interactive dialogue as well. So we get a sense of where you are, where you're coming from, and what your concerns are. While we're waiting or while we're getting going here, please put your name, organization, where you're from in the chat. We'd love to know who we're speaking with. So with that, we're going to start with our first Mentimeter. You can join that, and I'll let Kata take us there. So today, we are obviously talking about town hall COPs, and we want to know, have you already hosted or attended a local town hall COP in your area? And you can follow the QR, sorry, you can follow the link in the chat. I know I did not give us much time on the QR code there, so we'll come back to that for future Mentimeters. But this is just to get us going. You can see a little test if people can actually connect to Mentimeter. So you can also just go to menti.com and use the code 82666396. So far we have one. I'm planning on hosting one. I'm currently planning on attending one. I've hosted. We have a host in the audience. That's great. I'm not planning on hosting one. We have two responses there, three. We hope by the end of this hour we can maybe convince you to come along up to the other answers here. Um, five. I'm currently planning on hosting one. That's great to see. So we'll give you a few more seconds here. Um, and great. Thank you for that. And we'll get back to um, our slides here. So, all right, I'm going to take over here, Kata, and so a little bit about today. We are at the beginning of the Daring Cities Virtual Forum, as I said. This is 14 weeks of free webinars, 17 in all. They are live streamed. You can participate in a variety of topics, including town hall COPs. Quite a number of really interesting webinars coming up, particularly with this series. We are looking to deep dive into town hall COPs to showcase the practitioners who have already participated in this initiative, have best practices to bring to us, and also to share with you how the initiative is advancing as well on connecting all levels of climate action. So you can visit the Daring Cities website, and all of the information about our future virtual forum events is found there. All right, so I've got just a few minutes here to take you through the basics of the Town Hall COP initiative. It seemed like a lot of you were familiar in that first Mentimeter with the town hall cops. So I'm not going to go too deep into it here. But basically, this initiative, the vision of it was to create a kind of mechanism that allows for ground up, bottom up leadership in creating community-led events that can connect across national levels and then to the global goals. And so we really wanted to give a very tangible tool to our communities to really provide them an opportunity to get into this whole agenda. We have a lot of history in this kind of dialogue, multi-level communication and connection. I think that we'll hear from some of our speakers about examples of where this has worked and why we think this is the right way to connect all of these levels of government. Um, an important thing to know is that there are three kind of main principles for town hall cops. So they're first community led. So they're really based in the needs and priorities of each community. But it's not just a community engagement platform. We really want to try to make these events nationally relevant, speaking to the context that they're based in, and both in being informed by and informing either new or existing or future climate plans. And then the last thing that we're really looking for is how town hall cops capture the impact that climate action has on daily lives, both positive and negative. So, what are the challenges that communities are facing, and how can they really transform the entire society or community experience? What people are experiencing on a daily basis? How can they highlight what that transformation looks like through town hall cops, and really, bring this down to a very concrete level for community members? Um, I just want to make a note that we knew when we started this initiative, the nationally relevant piece was going to be the most challenging for local governments and community members to kind of wrap their minds around. And that's why we've front loaded this at the beginning of our kind of deep dive series, because we want to be engaging on this topic. We want to have a dialogue on this topic to understand really how we can achieve this goal. The process for hosting a town hall COP, it's all on our website. Very simple registration of, your intention to host, lots of helpful tools there. And then we're, hopefully going to be helping with these last steps of sharing outcomes and elevating impact globally. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Catalina Schlenger. She is on our global events team and has been working to gather together our initial learnings from our first town hall COP. So Kata, over to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Ariel. And hello to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Yeah, just some quick initial findings and learnings. Maybe to get us started, where have town hall COPs actually been registered? So we're really happy to announce that we have over 70 registered town hall COPs from over 40 countries. I think this map also shows really nicely the kind of the diversity and the representation. And although we are pushing for local and regional governments to be the host of these local town hall COPs, we do also realize that other types of organizations like the civil society, NGOs, the private sector, youth organizations, and so many more are also interested in this process and initiative. Then if we move on to the next slide, where have town hall COPs actually now taken place? So we have 10 town hall COPs on several different continents. So if we go from east to west, and oh, sorry, yes. So Greater Sydney, for example, or Pohang, Republic of Korea. We have two that have taken place in Turkey. We have two that have taken place in Uganda and a couple that have taken place in the US. So it's really great to see. Now, we want to just give you an idea of what a town hall COP looks like or what your town hall COP could look like. So on the next slide, you'll see this is a number of participation. So on average, there's about 145 participants, but you can also see that the numbers vary a lot from around 35 to around 500 people participating in these. And on the next slide, you can also see how the lengths of these town hall clubs also vary from a few hours, such as Greater Sydney, I think it was about 3 hours, to the one in Macau that took place over the course of 4 days. So it's really cool to see what ranges are sort of possible. Then on the next slides, we asked respondents, we asked hosts what formats their town hall clubs took place in and what topics were the ones that were discussed. So you can see most formats were they took place in panel discussions, roundtables, public forums and workshops, so quite discussion based. And the main topics of interest were climate mitigation. I think all 10 discussed climate mitigation, which is really nice to see, as well as climate adaptation, circular economy, renewable energy, multi-level governance, and a few others. Then what we were curious about what the actual like the national relevance, what kind of role it plays in this. And I guess, this is just some of the responses that we received. So the focus of discussions were, again, there was quite a range of things, but it included things such as like creating like a local NDC, as well as discussing how to scale up their local climate action and how to best align with national government climate goals. And then kind of out of this, we wanted to also see what concrete ideas or plans these local communities had. So it was anything from reforestation plans to sharing their town hall COP outcomes with national entities, but also things such as establishing frameworks or tying their local work with state climate action if, for example, there is no national or federal support. We also asked if any national government representatives were invited to the local town hall COPs. Three answered yes, which was really nice to see. This was the two town hall COPs that took place in Uganda and the one that took place in Macau. And others tried, but unfortunately the national government representative wasn't able to join, and others just didn't do it from the beginning. So I think this just depends on the sort of relationship the local entity has with the national government. And then on my final slide, we asked respondents how their town hall COP would contribute to their NDC. And these were the three most common responses. So providing new local data and insights to the national level, as well as strengthening national subnational collaboration. So there's the multi-level governance aspect coming in here, as well as showing scalable solutions. So this was like a common thing that was mentioned. And then finally, what would help these local or regional governments to sort of contribute even better to the NDC 3.0. And their increased funding for local action was definitely the most mentioned one. I think no surprise there, as well as more opportunities for local input and national plans, and a formal recognition of subnational climate leadership and action. So this was just a really brief overview of the initial findings. I hope it was helpful. And Ariel, back to you.
Thank you, Kata. And it's great to see just kind of the range, also some of the convergence that we see
Yeah.
of these initial town hall COPs. So thanks for those insights. Great. Now we're going to turn to our roundtable. And I'm very excited to welcome five very special guests. Ranging from around the world, connecting from all over the world. We're going to start today with Kobe Brand, who is ICLEI's Deputy Secretary General and the Regional Director of ICLEI Africa. Welcome, Kobe. And together we're going to be doing a bit of scene setting. So I know you have had a lot of experience across many, many topics, really relating the subnational kind of offer and challenges and needs to national governments. So we wanted to speak with you first about, creating that context for us. And we know it's not a new concept. So maybe you could just lay out kind of where does this come from? Why do we think this is the right way to work?
Thank you so much, Ariel. And Ariel, as we all know, we're very passionate in ICLEI about what we do and why we do it. So please feel free to tell me when I've said enough,
Yeah.
because this is a topic very dear to my heart, and I can really carry on about it a lot. I think, from very early days, we had consultations the world over ahead of the Copenhagen COP, and that resulted in a whole lot of groundswell and realization by local governments and the local or national entities like the in South Africa, the South African Local Government Association, so the national associations, what the power is of local governments when it comes to bringing their voices into the discussions. When we're talking about national and global climate targets. And the world has moved on from there, where national governments now, many of them embracing the new champ concept, and we'll talk a little bit later about that, I think. Many are realizing that we really need multi-level governance, and we really need those local entities, local governments, cities, regional governments, counties, etc., to really be part of the discussion that will feed into whatever is nationally determined as the ambition. And we have a perfect opportunity now with the NDC 3 process, where national governments are preparing their next level of ambition that they will share with each other at COP30, and which will take us into the future beyond COP30, in a time where we desperately need to scale up our global action on climate change. And our history there is very rich. For instance, if I can just mention the Talanoa dialogues, which came about from when Fiji and Germany hosted the COP a few years back, ahead and leading up to that COP, and following on that COP, the concept of Talanoa dialogues was not that different from the concept that is prevailing these days. We talk about Muturao, and Muturao really, our COP30 president will tell us that Muturao is working together as a whole community to get something done. And Talanoa Dialogues at that stage was to hear from the bottom up, really understand what is happening on the ground, what the realities are, but also what the solutions and the potential actions could be. So I think that bottom up approach, not just hearing after a decision has been made at a COP, how are we going to work with local governments to implement that decision, but to make local governments a part of the process of taking our message to the COP and taking our ambition to the COP to create an outcome that is then implementable and also bought into by the local actors at the local level. That is really the transformative process that we as ICLEI advocate for, because that's where we see the most results. And we can take examples from countries in Africa like Ghana, etc., from our Pacific Island nations, many examples the world over. Australia is another example which is really coming to the fore now, and we'll hear a bit about Sydney later. So there's so many good examples when we really embrace the concept of bottom up. And there are other manifestations as well. If I think about the SDG localization efforts the world over, um, it's voluntary to do local reviews of SDGs, but it's very relevant to cities to understand that SDGs aren't global targets out there just for relevant to national governments, but many SDGs and their indicators are actually speaking directly to the mandates and functions of local governments.
Mm-hmm.
So local governments really need to be part of that process as well. So it's not a new concept, but very exciting that we are now embracing a new version of that through the town hall COPs. And I can see many manifestations of these town hall COPs in the making and in the planning, and that excites me tremendously.
That's great, and thank you for that response. I wonder maybe we can just finish up to think about sort of how town hall cups, because obviously we have this precedent across these other areas, and I think the kind of bottom up into the NDC process is somewhat new, but I think there are these kind of complementary initiatives now, such as CHAMP and then the longstanding contributions from the LGMA, the voice of subnational governments in the UNFCCC. How do you see town hall COP sort of complementing this?
Well, I think, if we talk about Champ, I think is embraced now by 75 countries,
Hmm.
and there
Hmm.
may be more when we get to COP30. And even those countries that do not yet or do not choose to embrace Champ, it's a wonderful, very powerful mechanism to make sure that your NDC 3 and your message that you take as a group or as an individual country to the negotiations in Berlin at the end of the year are going to be grounded by the realities of what your situation is on the ground right now. And we know climate change is no longer what it was 10 or 20 years ago, a concept out there. It is affecting our lives on a daily basis, even in Europe where you are based, the extreme heat that your cities have suffered. The realities and how your mayors and your cities cope with it is just amazing. We saw it also during the time of the COVID pandemic. Cities wanted to know how to act because it's right on their doorstep. People
Hmm.
knock on the
Hmm.
mayor's door, and they really have then the ability to innovate and to, out of sheer need and necessity, innovate solutions and share those solutions with each other. And I think that's the power of the local action and the local voice, taking your whole community with you. But feeding that into your national ambition makes whatever is going to come back home after the COP really implementable, really embraced by the whole of society. And with society, we also look at your business sectors, your different sectors of the community,
Yeah.
not just your your neighborhood people, but
Yeah.
all the actors in a city.
Of
So I
course.
think it's a
Yeah.
very powerful concept, and we embrace it. We're looking forward to so many of these town hall COPs happening almost every week now,
Yeah.
up until COP30. Yeah.
Great, great, great. Thank you so much, Kobe. Thanks for setting the scene for us. So we're going to turn things back over to our audience now. So get out your phones again and or click the link in the chat, and we're going to get back on Mentimeter here with Kata, and just do a couple of questions to see where you're at. On planning town hall COP. So of course we know not everyone is planning. We hope that number is going to start ticking up as we try to make the case for you here. But this is really about seeing how folks have thought about national government engagement. There's no right or wrong answers here. We're just really trying to test the waters a bit, or test the temperature of the waters, to find out, yeah, how things are looking. Okay. Um, Great. So we've got some highly likely and likely folks. So we'll move on to the next answer question, just because we do have limited time here, and I know it takes a moment to get over to Menti. So for those of you who have made it over there, that's great. So now we're looking for a bit more of an open answer. And we're talking about national relevance here. What does it mean for you in your local climate work? So, you know, is how are you thinking are you thinking about it? Maybe it's not relevant, but it would be interesting to know kind of the overall opinions on this. All right, so we see ground up, bottom up, policy coordination. Great, yeah. Scalable. Integration there. So yeah, really the kind of informing and being informed by. Realistic. Ah, that's interesting. Based in reality, just like Kopi was talking about. Um, Great. These are great answers. Great to see. Participatory, NDC aligned, engagement, finding climate solutions. So true, so true. Great. All right, these are wonderful. I will cut us off now, just so we can get back to our wonderful panel, who are online with us. So I'm going to, whoops, move us back to our round table here. And we are very happy to be joined by Pemi Gazella. Pemi, how's your sound doing? Um, I know we were having.
Hello, I hope it's doing much better. I've
Yes. Oh,
resorted to a mobile phone now.
you
So,
sound great. This is wonderful. We're so glad you could make it. So Pemi, just a quick introduction of you. So Pemi comes from the Department of Forestry, Fisheries, and the Environment, as part of the government of South Africa. So we're very honored to have you here, giving us the national perspective. So first, to set the scene a bit. We, are so excited to have you on, of course, because we're really thrilled to share, I think it was about a month ago now, the endorsement by South Africa of the Town Hall COP initiative, or the Town Hall COP model. So I'm just going to read from the letter here that came from Mr. Masela Kakana, Deputy Director General for Climate Change and Air Quality from South Africa's Department of Forestry, Fisheries, and the Environment. So we are pleased to confirm DFFE's support for this important platform, which aligns strongly with our vision for inclusive and multi-level climate governance. So a very strong endorsement. We're very grateful for it. And we wanted to just get from you sort of, how does this vision, or what is this vision of multi-level collaboration, and how do town hall COPs fit into that? So we'd love to hear from you about that.
yes, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. Firstly, I would just like to say for us, I mean, as the department, this vision is grounded in the principle that effective climate action must be collaborative, participatory, and responsive to the needs and capacities of all stakeholders, from national government to provinces, municipalities, communities, civil society, and the private sector. So this vision, it acknowledges that climate change impacts are felt most acutely at the local level, and that solution must therefore be co-designed and implemented with those who are closest to the ground. As you know, that the The local government are the ones that are closer to the ground, and most of the decisions that we make, they are implemented at the local level. Now, these town halls initiative fits squarely within this vision. And it creates space for open dialogue between local actors, the national decision. Fosters mutual learning, shared ownership of climate, and enhance accountability.
Pemi, I think we're not able. Did something change with your sound?
We'll give Pemi one
Is it
minute.
better?
Yes, now it's great.
Apologies, I was using my phone, so I think there was a call coming through. But the town hall initiative, I mean, it fits squarely with that vision, right? And it also creates space for open dialogue between local actors and national decision makers. And it fosters mutual learning, shared ownership of climate commitment, and enhanced accountability. It also helps bridge the gap between global negotiations. I mean, the negotiations that are taking place are taken at a national level and local realities. I mean, Kobe also spoke about, it must be real, even the questions that were asked, and ensures that the voices of the cities and local governments and traditional leaders, because we have that, youth and the frontline communities are heard and reflected in climate policy. For us, these town hall COPs represent not just an event, but a critical process of building democratic and decentralized climate governance where everybody is involved, one that strengthens the climate compact between the state and the society, and ultimately helps deliver more just, effective, and climate resilient outcomes. And this also comes from the concept that we normally have in South Africa, which is called Imbizo. And in the Imbizo, you have all the stakeholders coming together and exchange views. I think this is also the same concept that Kobe spoke about, which is the Talanoa,
Hmm.
the Talanoa, and also the Mochural.
Yeah,
So that's the vision that we, that grounds us in this town hall and why we endorsed it.
yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Pemi. I wonder, with such a strong vision, what you would say to other parties or countries that maybe haven't embraced this ground up or multi-level cooperation in the same way that South Africa has. Sort of what, how do you make the case to them that multi-level collaboration is beneficial?
Well, first, I think I would say to those that have not embraced it, that the multi-level governance is not a luxury, but it's a necessity. And climate change does not wait for institutional setups. And here, the complexity and agency of this challenge demands coordination across all levels of government and
Mm,
society. But by embracing a multi-level collaboration, we unlock innovation. We build local ownership, which is something that is important, and we strengthen implementation um, where it matters the most on the ground. In South Africa, this approach has helped us to align national ambition with local action, and it has made our policies more responsive, inclusive, and resilient. I mean, we don't want to be taking policies that will not be able to implement. So having this kind of collaborative action helps us, and it also helps us to know what is it that the people need. And this also resonates well with the incoming co-presidency Motiaro,
yeah.
which is something that captures the essence of collective effort to promote action on climate change. So I would encourage my peers to see multi-level governance not just as a burden, but as a powerful tool to accelerate progress and legitimacy in the climate space.
Wonderful. Thank you for those words, Pemi. Really, really inspiring. We're going to turn now to your counterpart in the local government association. So thank you, and I hope you'll stay on the line for our final questions.
Thank you so
So
much.
thanks, thanks. So I'm so happy to be joined by Rabalani Chikalanga. And Ravalani is the specialist for environment, climate change, and sustainability at SALGA, the South African Local Government Association. So, welcome, Ravalani. We're so happy to have you with us today. And Rabalani, you've just heard from your counterpart in the national government, and I wanted to sort of hear, how you see this from the local government perspective. So your association obviously um, represents local governments in South Africa. How do you see the vision that Pemi just articulated playing out for for the reality for your local governments?
Thank you so much, Ariel, and everyone who who managed to join this discussion. As you said, I'm from the South African Local Government Association, which is a trusted voice for all the 257 municipalities across South Africa, where we exist really to promote, protect, and support the interests of local government and really play a key role in shaping common policy positions and representing municipalities within the intergovernmental system. We're quite excited to really have this strong partnership with National Department of Environment, the DFFE that PEM is really representing. We're quite excited and we see this as really a journey for us to take. And as you know, just reflecting on what Pemi has said, as you know, in South Africa, multi-level governance is not just a theoretical concept, and I think she has mentioned that it is really a constitutional imperative and a practical necessity. And these governance systems are really built on cooperative governance, and this is enshrined in our constitution. It's also embedded and enshrined in the Climate Change Act, which, as you may know, has just recently been signed last year and really is being enforced. That reinforces this, by mandating, coordination across national, provinces, and local sphere for effective climate action. So the challenge comes when we're translating policy into practice. And while in South Africa we've got various platforms like the intergovernmental, climate change committees. We have got strong working relationships with the
Hmm.
Presidential Climate Commission,
Hmm.
and so on and so forth. But we see that local government often remains under-resourced.
Mm.
There's, under capacity, there's insufficient, engagements
Uh-huh.
and really contribution. And we see this as, this tunnel corps as an opportunity for really frontline climate engagements. As
Mm.
you know, that climate change really, where it happens the most and felt the most is at a local level. So we are really excited to be playing this role. And this is why the initiative like Tunnel Corps are so critical, as they offer a structured space for municipalities and communities to engage directly with national climate dialogues, ensuring that local realities inform national priorities. So we're quite excited about this opportunity.
That's wonderful, and it's great to hear the synergies there. What are some of the kind of outcomes that you want to see coming out of the town hall COP? So Salga is hosting several town hall COPs, co-hosting across the country. What are some of the sort of concrete outcomes you want to see coming out of this?
Yeah, we want the tunnel corps not to just be a space for consulting local government, but to be a continuous um, platform for engagement on
Mm.
issues of local government.
Hmm.
As you know, there have been a lot of challenges in terms of losses and damages,
Hmm.
extreme weather events that local government have been facing. And when everyone is gone, our mayors are the ones that are last to face how to deal with the losses and damages that occur on the ground. So we want to see to it that these engagements do occur continuously, And these partnerships do occur such that local government, takes up its space to really contribute and inform, the nationally determined contributions, and positions going forward, because that would mean that those positions are really informed from the ground level, from
Hmm.
the communities themselves. And we think that is where we will be able to reach impact and really make meaningful, contribution to the, nationally determined contributions to the positions and also to the international engagements as we go along. So this process really for us fosters mutual accountability, and at the same time, national departments gain a clearer understanding of local challenges and opportunities. And while in the municipal space, we've got our municipal leaders that are better informed from these processes, and be able to take on responsibilities to make evidence-based decision making from the engagements that would have taken place, realizing leading into tangible actions on the ground.
Yeah, wonderful. And I think, Rabelani, that being able to articulate those very concrete outcomes ahead of holding the town hall cups, I think ensures that you're going to, at least be designing and really trying to answer each of those outcomes in what you're doing. So I applaud that. And obviously these are ambitious outcomes that you're looking for, but I think we have to have them, obviously, in now. So I'm going to stop us here because we do have one more case study, and then I hope you'll be able to stay for the last roundtable question. So with that, I'd like to introduce our last guest, or our last case study guest. We'll have one more speaker. So William Chan, I'm so happy to have you with us. William is a former city councillor of Sydney, Australia, an advisor to ICLEI Oceania as well, and a good friend of ICLEI. So we're so happy to have you with us today, William. And William, you were part of the very first Town Hall COP, which took place in the greater Sydney area. So we're really excited to have you on as our representative who has actually been through this process and can reflect. And I think we're really lucky because I know, having been with you at the SBs, that you're very, very well versed in kind of all levels of government. And so I think you're really well positioned to kind of guide us through, and we would love to have a frank conversation with you also about, what were the challenges that you see now. What worked in your experience. So yeah, so our first question is just sort of how was your event in Sydney able to connect to the national level in Australia? What do you think was successful there?
Thanks, Ariel, and Bujari Gamarua. Good day to everyone for tuning in. Yes, no, it was actually very inspiring knowing that this is really impacting the Oceania region. And I want to start by really acknowledging the team from ICLEI in terms of Luigi and also Sharon for pulling this together in terms of hosting the first ever Town Hall COP internationally, which was earlier this year as we look towards COP30. It was part of a Climate Action Week Sydney, part of the second edition of that week of local action and events. But it also allowed for the Australian government and its representatives to also attend from the national capital down in Canberra, and they were there present in Sydney. We had 16 municipalities from across Greater Sydney. And I know, Kobe, you've mentioned the Talanoa dialogue and that cultural practice that comes from the Pacific region, from our region. And I know one of the questions asks about whether or not this is just a rebrand. It is not a rebrand of what took place and has taken place since 2018, because while town hall cops continue to have the reflection, the storytelling, the truth telling from our Indigenous communities as well, and the trust building, I think town hall cops now really allow for more strategic outcome driven processes and platforms, especially post champ. Australia has signed up to the champ a signatory.
Hmm.
And so it's really important that through the NDC cycles, as we look at reviewing our NDCs this year, that this becomes a vehicle for actual structured on policy relevant insights, inputs into national planning. And so it's rooted, yes, in local lived experience,
Hmm.
but councils also came with the data, with community voices and also real policy friction points. And what emerged in the Sydney example was a striking clarity about the disconnect between local ambition and the national climate plans.
Mm.
So, for example, several local governments expressed frustration that while they're accelerating household electrification and investing in resilience in infrastructure, including the City of Sydney, the national discourse has been dominated still by fossil fuel subsidies.
Mm.
And even during our recent national elections in Australia, nuclear power became the dominant message in terms of rather than renewable energy.
Mm.
As these decisions were discussed, that not only slow the momentum in terms of these types of distractions, but continue to undermine public trust in how we transition in a fair, equitable way. What else made the event effective was linking the national level with a conversation that wasn't abstract. So it was about, we talked about building codes in Australia across Sydney, about coastal protection as more rainfall and humidity
Mm.
hits our region, the
Hmm.
misinformation campaigns that's delaying action on renewables, but also how local governments are dealing with consequences on a daily frontline basis.
Hmm.
Importantly, the group actually presented data back to the Australian government, showing that local municipalities across Greater Sydney could directly contribute to reducing national emissions by up to 15%. And that's only within Greater Sydney. So that's a really clear case in terms of why integrating local strategies into Australia's NDCs are important, but also are influential. That while we're local and we might appear to not have a lot of influence in terms of the negotiations, we actually contribute a lot to the emissions, but also to the solutions.
Hmm.
So it's not just symbolic. I think
Yeah.
it's really important as Australia submits its NDCs that we're informed by what's happening on the ground.
That's great, and thank you for those that feedback. And I want to go a little bit off script here because you've actually answered the questions that I had for you, and I had one more as you were speaking. So I know the team, really did a deep dive to try to kind of bring the reality of the national kind of plan and goals within Australia to really bring that to the group that was gathered and inform them about it. And I wanted to just get your perspective of like what was that like being on the ground? Did people, was that new information for them? Were they surprised by it? How did they engage with that material? And did it feel effective, in terms of really doing some of the work to do that connection, in the event?
Absolutely. I think it's where while the current national plans in Australia, it is quite technical
Hmm.
and it might not be as accessible, not even to local governments, not even to our citizens and
Hmm.
our community members. But do want to share that at least in the Australian government's case, they do listen, especially when other areas, other leaders who are willing to collaborate, are willing to do that work, are willing to read the policy documents,
Hmm.
but not just but grapple with the situation and really come from a spirit of collaboration that we've
Hmm.
talked about in terms of mutual. I think it's not only that, but the Australian government similar to when we met with the Brazilian government, they want to listen to local leaders in terms of what the vehicle is, what is the model of an not just engagement, but in terms of co-designing policy together. And we
Hmm.
saw that in Bonn. I've seen that with the Australian government. So I think coming in with a humility that yes, while we need to be accelerating our action, we also need to be collaborative
Hmm.
And I think governments are willing to engage and listen if we are doing so in a way to move forward together and not just to tell them what they need to be doing and what they should be doing. And I think in that spirit, that works well because they are wanting to also find their solutions. And
Hmm.
I feel like the top down, bottom up has to work together.
Hmm. Hmm. Wonderful. Well, I think we'll end with you with that. Thank you for those reflections. I hope you'll be able to stay. I hope we'll have some time for one last final question. I'm joined now by our next speaker, who's just going to take us for a few minutes on connecting us to COP30. Welcome, Eunice Arakan, who is our Director of Global Advocacy. So, Eunice, I'll give you some slides to talk to, but I know you can also do this in your sleep. So, um, yes, tell us a little bit about connecting this whole effort to COP30. Of course, we're looking beyond that, but we do have COP30 looming in the kind of front windshield, and so tell us how this all connects.
Uh, Thanks, Ariel. First of all, congratulations for this really timely virtual debate, and it's also nice to follow up from Bonn 2 weeks ago because the meeting in Bonn mid-year is just preparing for the outcomes at the end of the year, so it's a perfect combination. In short, what Town Hall COP is doing, in fact, is a support implementation of the decisions adopted in the past, especially in 2023 at COP28 in Dubai. An important decision was adopted, which paragraph 161 says parties are urged for multi-level action. So it's not anymore our wishful thinking, it is a duty of the national governments. And that's why Town Hall COP is important. Its second thing, the Global Mutirao, the Brazilian presidency, you are aware they are very well known by being holistic, whole of society. There's a culture of, just like you heard from South Africa, there's a very wonderful culture of climate federalism or all hands on deck. So this spirit of bottom up proposals and contributions is also respecting or fulfilling the expectation of the Brazilian COP30 presidency. And third, it's connected to decisions adopted by the nations depends on the active implementation by the parties. Several parties since 2023 are gathered under the CHAMP initiative for high-level, multi-level action partnerships. The Town Hall COP experience can be helpful to deliver these CHAMP commitments, like you have heard from Australia, but it can also be helpful for those countries who are not in this process, like South Africa.
Mhm.
Second, the next couple of weeks are important because we have to push and work with the national governments to bring their new NDCs. The constituency that we are part of will help you to make these bridges so that there is this meetings in Africa, there will be meetings around the world, and the processes like UN Habitat, we're able to make the connection so that they are aware. And of course, the more we hear stories, the more we can convince that when they come to Belém, they can be much more informed. I think that's a summary of what we can take forward.
Great. Thank you, Eunice. And I know I challenged you to do this in 2 minutes, so thanks for taking up my challenge. And then we have one final announcement before we get to our just final question for our panelists. I'm happy to I hope that Julia Salvatara is here. Yes. Julia, welcome. I know you have our special announcement to share, so I turn things over to you.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, perfect. So as everyone just said, all the different experiences that have been shared by all the speakers have this common thread that multi-level collaboration is necessary and that we really would like to support the host in communicating what they are doing. So the local priorities and the outcomes of the events to the national representatives. And for doing so, we put together a set of letter templates to enable this kind of collaboration. And so we have 4 customizable letter templates that will help local and regional governments to engage with their national counterparts and who are responsible for the climate policy and the NDCs. They all have a similar structure, so all the 4 templates start with an introduction of what Town Hall COP initiative is to the national governments, followed by the need to promote multi-level dialogue and cooperation, as all the speakers before me have highlighted, and also to offer the support both to the NDC development in case the NDC has not been submitted yet, but also for the implementation in those cases where the submission has already happened. And all of them have an invite to national government representatives to engage either before or after the Town Hall COP event takes place. So basically we have 4 versions, and if you move to the next slides, we can give a brief summary. The first 2 versions have to do with the Town Hall COPs that still have to take place. So is for those hosts that would like to engage with their country. In both cases, if they can use the version 1 for those countries that are still preparing the NDCs, and these specific templates is encouraging an early engagement so that the representatives can join the Town Hall COP, take part of the discussions, and so that the local input from the local level will be embedded in the NDCs 3.0, while the second version has more to do with those countries that have already submitted the NDCs, but we still think that it is important to create this connection and to invite the national government representative to the event so that the Town Hall COPs can actually support the implementation of what has been outlined in the NDCs. And the other 2 versions have to do with the host that already had their Town Hall COPs event, but that still would like to create this connection with the NDCs. So the version 3 is for to be sent to those countries that are still in the process of submitting their NDCs, so that the outcomes and the recommendation from the event can be embedded there. And for the last one, it has more to do with an alignment of what has happened in the Town Hall COP event, but also what has been drafted in the NDCs, so that we can enhance this alignment for what concerns the implementation. So yes, we have these 4 different templates, and we are happy to share them with you.
Great, wonderful. Thank you, Julia. All right. So, with that, I think I would like to take the opportunity just to bring our panelists back on. So I'm going to stop sharing our slides. We will distribute the slides to participants afterwards. So you'll see I have a few more slides about what's coming up, but I do want to respect our time limits. So we can bring Eunice back on for this question as well. And Pemi, if you'd like to join, you just have to turn on your camera again. So this is one final question for you all, because I think something we've also been wrestling with is what we say to local and regional governments who really don't find themselves aligned with their national governments, likely because there's a disagreement about how ambitious really they need to be on climate action. And so we just wanted to get your feedback, just 1 or 2 sentences here as possible. I know I said a minute in our original run of show, but we don't have that minute. So we're just going to go around, and maybe we can start with you, Eunice. So this is again, 1 piece of advice, 1 to 2 sentences that you would give to Town Hall COP hosts who are in countries that are not prioritizing climate action or multi-level collaboration at the national level. So what should those hosts, what message would you give to those hosts?
My message is don't give up. It's a question of improving our understanding, and maybe especially for our countries in the global south. Traditional discussion was that mayors versus ministers or countries. No, this is not anymore the case, especially when the global support, especially through global financing, is weakening because lack of funding from the ODAs and others. The global south countries are looking inwards, and there they see at the end of the day, when there's a climate crisis hitting their cities, they are together, be it from different parties, different colors of parties. They have to deal this together. So the understanding is getting better, and don't give up. Insist and make consistently make your case. We are confident that there will be a solution in your own conditions, and you will be very happy at the end.
Wonderful. Thanks, Eunice. 1 to 2 sentences. I know those were two long Eunice sentences, but maybe Pemi, we could go to you.
Thank you. My advice would be that don't wait for permission. Start where you are. And I'll also use the town hall as a space to build community, raise awareness, and show that what is possible through collaborative effort. And also to say that change may be slow. I mean, that is the reality, but persistence, collective action have a way of breakthrough. Thank you.
Wonderful words. Thank you, Pemi. Rabalani, how about you?
Yes, I think I would say those who haven't held town hall COPs yet, they must just take advantage of this opportunity. They should see this as an opportunity to build awareness and capacity, as an opportunity to really input into the national policies, showcasing their local innovation. There's a lot of pioneering work that municipalities, cities are doing, so they should take advantage of that. And also really unlocking finance and partnerships that do exist. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rabalani. And William, you get the very last word.
Invite your national representatives. Invite your negotiators at COPs from your governments. Invite your ambassadors of climate. I think ICLEI did it really well in timing it in a way to make it easily accessible. The Australian representatives were already in town in Sydney for Climate Week, and they went to the local town hall and attended the event. So make it as simple and as accessible, and we can start building this movement.
Wonderful. Thank you all. I do want to respect our time today, so I'm going to just end with one quick little advertisement here about what's coming up next at Daring Cities. So we will be launching the ICLEI Carbon Climate Center Academy series with a session empowering subnational governments for sustainable change, and that is happening on July 16th at 1 o'clock. So you will see the registration in the chat. But right now, what I want to do is just really thank our panelists. That was such a fantastic conversation. I'm so excited to have been a part of it. This was really exactly the kind of conversation we wanted to be having right now. Hopefully, if you are hosting a town hall COP, thinking about hosting a town hall COP or town hall COP curious, this gave you some inspiration about really what the events can be, about how to really build these community-led, nationally relevant spaces where we can show what's happening on the ground and contribute across all levels. So thank you again to everyone. We look forward to seeing you at our future events, and have a great rest of your day.